everyone, this is me Priyanka and welcome back to my channel where I talk about tech and career. So in this video, I'll be talking about how to get started with iOS app development. iOS development is a field of mobile application development used to develop iOS applications for iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch and Apple TV. So in this series of tutorial, I'll be talking about some basics of iOS app development and some fundamentals about the Swift language. Swift is the language that we'll use to create iOS applications. So you may or may not know that there are different ways of creating iOS application. It is mostly categorized into two different parts known as native and cross-platform application. So cross-platform application are the kind of application where you have a single code base and that would work on your Android device, your iOS device, and even it can be used as a web application as well. But native app development is really specific to the platform itself. So native Android development means you write a code for Android app particularly, and with iOS there's a different code base and you host that in a different place. So native app development is different than any other cross-platform app development that are in trend now, like Flutter, React Native and Xamarin. So in order to create a native iOS application, there are two languages that are mostly used, that is Objective-C and Swift language. Objective-C is a language that is quite outdated and it is really difficult for any beginner to grab upon. So Swift is a language that even Apple prefers, and Apple wants the new developers to learn the Swift language and get started with that. So there's a fun fact about this language. Swift was developed 4 years in secrecy, meaning no one outside Apple knew about this language. So I think this is pretty interesting. And this language was introduced in 2014 as a replacement of Objective-C. In the year 2015, Swift was announced with a number of improvements and changes, and it was Apple's commitment to make Swift an open source programming language. So if you think about why Swift, then you'll find many reasons for that. Swift provides better memory management, it provides better type safety, and there are a bunch of other functional paradigms. And Swift is an easy to learn language. Even the syntax that we use in Swift, they are kind of like the regular English that we speak. So for any beginner, it is pretty easy to just learn a language and start working on developing applications. So in this series of tutorial, I'll be helping you out to understand the fundamentals and basics of iOS app development, so you can go on and create your own mobile application, host it in App Store, and this will also help you to get exposure to any other programming language as well. So before moving into this tutorial, I would really recommend you to have some basic understanding of programming terms and exposure to any programming language. If you don't have, then that's still okay. I'll be explaining about some important resources that you can go through and get yourself started with this language. So in my personal experience, I started learning Swift. I already had an experience of Java and I worked on creating Android applications. So it was really an easy switch for me to move to iOS development. So for anyone who already have understanding of any other programming language, for them I feel that it wouldn't be that difficult. They can quickly grab this language and start creating iOS applications. So like for any other application, there are also some developer requirements for creating iOS app development. To develop iOS application, you need to have a MacBook running the latest version of Xcode. So Xcode is an Apple's IDE meaning the integrated development environment. So it's an environment where you write a code and you run your application and you can see how your application looks like. So Xcode is available in App Store and you can download it, you can run it on your machine and get started with that. It provides a graphical interface, so you'll be able to write iOS application, and Xcode will include all the necessary compiler tools and framework that you need to design, develop, write and debug your iOS application. So the next action would be to prepare your development environment, download Xcode, launch Xcode and create one new project, get yourself familiar with Xcode, and you can try and build and run your application using the inbuilt simulator. So you'll know about simulator in the next video as well, but simulator is a great way to see what your app looks like, and you can interact with it as if you were on a real device. So you can simulate your app on a variety of different hardware types and different iOS versions as well. So to download the Xcode app, you can just go to Google and download it from the Apple developer page. You can download a DMG file from there and you need to just install it. But by doing this, every time you need to update to a latest version, you have to repeat the same process again and install a new DMG. While the other way and the best way is to get the app from the App Store itself. Just search for Xcode, you'll be able to install the Xcode application, and every time there's a new version, you'll get notified. There's another one cool thing that I wanted to share. So if you want any particular version of Xcode, I have attached the link below. So in this comment of Stack Overflow, you'll be able to see download all the versions of Xcode. So now talking about resources. So there are many resources that you will find online. You'll find many videos, many blogs, but it can be kind of intimidating for any beginner to see all these resources. And it's really important to just figure out what are the maybe videos or maybe blogs that you should follow. But what I really recommend is to follow Apple documentation at first, because it is like a source of truth. So you'll find all the latest information in Apple documentation itself. You'll find tutorials, sample code, and articles and other API references. So this can be a good starting point for you, because as there are many resources online, you can miss out what is the best practices you should follow while doing iOS app development. And another one is books. So if you're someone who is really interested in learning things by reading, then books can really help you. I'll add some links below for the useful books. For me, talking about my experience, so when I got my first Mac, the main purpose of me getting MacBook was to get started with iOS development. So the first thing that I did was so curiously looking into all the internal application, and then I stumbled upon Books app. That's an inbuilt macOS application. So when I got there, I saw several free books, Swift for beginners, how to get started with Swift. And then I started looking into the fundamentals, the basics, syntax, variables, all those things I got to know from reading those books. And after that, I moved into Apple documentation. I started creating my own little personal projects, and that is from where I got started. And now there are many awesome developers who have devoted their full time talking about Swift language and all the latest technologies that comes in. There are many other channels by awesome developers that you can follow and practice regularly about different components of Swift language. I'll make sure to add those links down below. So saying this, in the next video, I'll be talking about Xcode, how you can create a project in Xcode, and you'll be able to see what are the different functionalities that you can find in Xcode, and just getting yourself familiar with the IDE itself. So my goal here is to make you comfortable with iOS development and getting you started in this journey of mobile app development. So if you find this or any of my videos useful, then make sure to hit the like button, share and subscribe to my channel. So until next time, see you!